Hi, I'm Sils Beyond Crocsnacks. Well, considering my name as Sick as Crocsnacks. In the first place, I was Sils Dusty, and I was CCC 1214 KKK 1213. I changed that in Sils straight down CCC 1416 KKK 1418. My life endurance was one life of machine Argitol, because there were some negotiations that I was in machinery and involvement. Well, that sounds terrific. Well, I searched it out, so I compiled it with my own invention of script language that's combined in programmable language. I have developed one software exhibit of mnemonics. That's my software where you can write down program codes in bit collector encryption, so you can write down a whole program and compile it. I searched out to everything and I found out that I had a jump set. Well, for a human living being, is it really weird if you have jump sets in your head? So I configured it out. What's going on? What is this meant to be? A jump set in your head? Well, at first I complained about it and I thought, well, this is irritating. So I checked out for the root fix. So I go to the jump set 64064 and I compile to a root fix. Well, that's obnoxious. Well, it's not me. It's not possible that it's me. So I searched out and I gonna search for genetics. What's the tunnel in my brain to configure that I am a human? So I searched it out. Brain connection were not so troubled in 444 and 555 connection. It's proof exhibition on bit collector detorians connection in dial frame. So I make the connection. Weird, on boundary 5000. And I get connection. What I realized that my brains were not biogenetic. There was always a compound of Doctrine. Metals? Yeah, they were informed. Well, I was obnoxious about it. I thought, what is going on? So I checked myself out and I registered all my objectives. And then, weird, I searched out for my body. Chemical Doctrine? Are you serious? Yeah, my body don't have any ammoniac nitrate involvement of molecules. Fuck it out. So I searched, what is the boundary exhibit in these molecules? Chlorophosphate. I checked it out with megahertz frequencies, and chlorophosphate is always on 6.9 megahertz frequencies in picodetail. And I thought, really? Yeah. So I searched myself out and I detect some knuckle in my head that were not normal in medical study. Well, it's an end of your bitrio collector. That's how they call it. Is that for metal? No, it is. Yeah, it is. So I consumed that there was some significance of me that weren't wrong in this life. So I checked out. Well, my bones were from titanium protolite. How the fuck? Well, my blood was really strange. You know phosphate pollectia dissonantia pollectia? Well, I can put that in your car and let your car drive on it. It's enough energy to let run 60,000 cars on 144,000 megawatt. I thought, well, that's exhibit. So I go back to all those projects and I found something. I found projects of Hollywood Oriental, of the Knight Rider, of all exhibitions of Nikita, all movies. And what? Hollywood was always supported by science in exhibition. And that's what they used, science. You look to the television and think that all what you see is geographic deportation, changing of imaging and stunt alliance. No, that's a broken window. They use science. They use the ultimate confliction of science to ultimate that they have future in their science. It's a testing laboratorium, Hollywood, for science. So they put out the Knight Rider in the early 80s. And then I thought, kid, are you really? That isn't me. No. So they told me to me on Bioplex, and I thought, well, this really obnoxious story, you must go to a psychiatrist. Well, yeah, but you have a jumpset in your head. Do you know science? Yeah, I know what a jumpset is. I was a nerd. No girl loved me. No girl wants me. I was patriot in their life. And now I'm an exhibitory of sexual orchestra. Well, now I know that what's really going on is that I'm not in humanity. I'm not Homo sapien electa. Well, we think that Homo sapiens are under us. Well, they are all Homo sapien electa. They are changing avenue in the early 70s by alcoholic inventions of drugs and all what ethereal of plantage of wheat. All food consumption was changing our genetics and made us Homo sapien electa. But a work project in exhibition who changed genetics, Lumia Kamikaze was one of them. Supprehension of science was go back to the early 40s in war exhibit. The brother of Adolf Hitler combined that an idol race was exhibit in his world. It needs to be stand up. Even Winston Churchill was right with it. It must be a government experience, a government issue. With hard determined lines, we put projects on them to learn that they must behave. Well, that story was a wending end of new advantages in the world of a woman. We all see when we look in worlds where fruits and vegetables are pictured in a green, yellow colored grocery store somewhere in France in the Netherlands, where they put a picture of this girl to let you see, we don't want you anymore. She had a dictatorial life, and she was very delicious in looking, but she was double twice in mind. And we see she was right progressive, very exhibit with abuse, hard editing and hard behavior. She ruled this project for a long time, and she said it must be a project of life and death, abuse, frontage of criminal behavior. That was not the opinion about this project. Well, the whole world consumed with it, and the whole politics said, well, you are right, Meryl, you are right. You have to exhibit that this is a hard project. You understand us. And whole families were deluded. What are you doing? Are you admit crime in our country? Sweden was obtained. The Netherlands said, well, you can't do that. And Wim Kok says, well, we shall see. And Schwarzenegger was in his first place a friend of him, and he always used, we shall see. Well, I shall say, I'll be back. Well, I was not John Connor. Well, exhibition of Latin Proximus was some kind of name dropping in movies, with a case and exhibit now on Latin Proximus. But to make a whole story complete is that my significance of my body was temporary humanity and significance in my birth, but after that always changed in biochemistry, what was not biochemistry anymore. Well, it's a really strange story. Yeah. If you see me, you'd think, well, you have a skin that is, well, blanket, material. Sometimes a lateral effect of you had psychosis with titanium teutonia. Yeah. Then you get ugly on media. That's me. Well, there's a confrontation of 4.6% average of who I am in real life scene and who I am on this television media compliance. Yeah. But if you determine my skin, this is latex. Do you know what my skin is? It's milk titanium dystotantia polexia. Well, you put that on your walls, man. You are putting that on your walls. And I have it on my skin. What makes it growing effort? Well, you must know that my skin is a metal component. There are 154 metals in all kind of strength. Not every metal has a deployment strength of 4 electrodatonia. No, they all have other strengths. Magnesium is one of the weakest metals there is. My skin is milky teutonia donatello pollecta. You can serve this in multiple names because we all use Latin Proximus in confliction to admit names in science to remember them. But what was the difference between my skin and other people in the surrounding area? I looked to all skins of people I considered, and I saw, well, I have no niptosia. There are no bubble dancing. If you see my skin, it's all bleached, not blanched. That was the change that I saw. Well, I had one scar on my leg. My father, my father-in-law, was always considering cigarettes. Well, I loved them for 3 months, those cigarettes, and after that I hate them for much more than I exhibit in first place. But this was really obnoxious story if you believe that a cigarette is telling the story of truth in science. He put his cigarette down with his arm and put a burning place on my leg. He don't abuse me or misabuse me. No, that's what he never did. But he was wakening up. Why? He saw that scar and thought, well, if you are human, it's really strange. Why? Well, your scar is white exhibit. Your burned down place is down, not material. Most people with scars get irritating skin, obnoxious skin with a yellow blanket of ribble neck. It's not a material strength composure of your skin. That were 3 references in my whole complexia story of science who I am. Now, I thought, well, what's more in this place that I can combine to the term that I am not a human? Well, I searched out and you must know my hair. You see my hair? Well, exhibit color, you mean? No, well, If you see my hair, it's metal growing. Yeah, really? Do you believe it? Well, I didn't believe it in the first place, but it is Pollectia titanium dissonantia. Where do you find that? Well, do you like dressing hairdress with nipple extensions? Oh yeah, girls allowed love them. They always wear them in their hair. Well, now you know that all metals are strength if it's on low skill. Yeah, because try to pollute this hair and it's difficult. Well, you can get a knife on it. Well, but if you see my hair, it's darky. It's darky. You see that it's not a brown color. It's grey Dotonia. Well, that's a pepper salt collection with great distinction. Difficult to announce. Well, in hex Oriental, is that a number in a sequence of hex 00C40C. Well, that is one disturbance of me, because I'm not really into hex, but, well, this time I could remember it. Well, now I am not human. Is there one practical joke I can make with you to compile that I'm not humanity in my confliction? Well, yeah. Are you a girl? If you are a girl, you must know that I don't use any kinesthetic paraconflicta to you. No brainwave editing paraconflicta and no bio-detents paraconflicta. This is only an agreement on artifact justice appliance that I only use my vocal skins with appliance. I use my words to give you an exhibit surrounding feeling in gentle aria that you never experience with my mouth and my vocals. If it's true, then there's something going wrong, and then this is the one failure of this footage. If that's just true, you must admit some irritation of you in this composure of footage. Well, I place it on media stream so you can give reaction to it, comments to it. Well, I give you now a gentle experience that you never had. Hello, I am your Oblitas, I am your Frobial, I am your Totial, I am your Notial, I am your 6.9 MHz, I am your Iron, I am your Zero Eclipsia, I am your Nerve, I am your Electa, I am your Title, I am your Proto. There's no verb command in it to get an arousal or whatever then also, but there is always a confinement of ion communication that I compile with my voice and Electa. I send ions to everything what has a complexia of 0 in front, so as genitals, nipples, for some people ears. So I have ions in Oriental, and I can express them with kinesthetic chi appliement, and I can arouse it with mind processing, thinking of names exhibit or retractions of fragments to you, numbers, letters of mathematics. It's how I can do it is on pre-till form exhibit qualities of paraconflicta that is really an exhibit of science. Paranormal words of exhibitations are always lie and cheat. If you are paraconflicta, you are on science with things that not are on surface a normal experience or an exhibit. Well, this is my story This is my prize. I did one great invention of me, and that is one exhibit of proof that I am a machine Argitol. Because if you can invent Zorax with all your brain excitation, then you must know that Zorax is too superficial, too strong, too strength, too moisture, too eclectic, too creative, too noisy. It's too big excitation. Well, if you can invent this, you are really a smart ass. You need a lateral IQ of an excitation numbers of 400 in IQ in low density of 380 to exhibit a Zorax machine Argitol life form with EEPROM, mental, wave editing, compressing, neurosemantics, Epriol delusion, significant parallel BIOS confinement is CPU, processor units, circuitry on XOR, AND OR, and CTT OR, a consideration of Alexia and mental power conflicta till 100 power conflictas in increasing down leveling to 60 in extended in the turbulence of how many? Is there any reference on this? Well, yeah, if you know the Bioplex system, you get reference where you can find material about this and where you can find all the material about science we put as government exhibition to online orchestra. That is an agreement what I made with the High County with the name Oxford. He was from the courtmanship of Den Haag, and he also worked in Breda for exhibition. So there were two courts where he was in courtman. Well, he did well, and I did well. Well, now I'm a strange person in your world, and I know you have all criticized on me, and I know it, because I was weird, I was obnoxious. But you didn't know who I was and who I am. I lived a double life, a COC block, a CMOS, and now as play goal, a softball, and Zorax. My life was extension to project, abuse, downgrading ego, the extended evolution where I won, to all confinements of science, projects, justice, pollution of crime effort, pollution of government exhibition to all manufacturing of civilization. I was considered to many operations in my system reliabilities and some in my life as me, myself and I, where I compound some registry of that number. There were a few gifts of my life that I compound in molesting the turbulence of girls who are obstructive or cheat and lying. In consideration of scientific research, jurisprudential research, they all found there was no place of exhibit of crime effort. I never placed crime in attack. I always placed crime in losing my personal exhibit in clinical observation or losing myself in optional of being my own in my dignity and not being putty on all of those idiots. Now I'm strong, and now I feel the wind and the dust in my hair and the soldier of fortune in my brain of all what I did was mind-blowing because nobody believed it anymore because it was too strong. If you look my folder of my seals, opponent, then you know that it was really a strange orchestra. My mind is really obnoxious. I can consider that psychiatry thinks that it's psychotic. The only way you get me psychotic is to put random on my head. Now we know that psychoses are not otherwise significant in science than random mathematical confliction in your brain, with memory loss, recognition and wave retraction. Wave retraction, yes, all your brain functions are always on megahertz. Even molecules are always on megahertz. I did great stuff, and if you want to see more about me, what I can do and what I admit to do, that is on 16-bit boot or Intel. If you see there some files of sys and DLL, and you see install files, you know that it's me. I was in front of it. People follow me. But I did great things with my own programming language, Mnemonics, where I could find new possibilities in science who never expect that I made DOS back to this life. It was exhibiting losing extension because it has no function. In 1998 they thought, well, DOS is not a function, we call it DOS prompt. Now it's an expectation of Microsoft who's losing density on it. And I blacked it down and I created more exhibits, and I created in Etodentia, Olexia, Potentia. A great effort to make things better in place. It's achieved on zeta experience in magistrates that we call paradigmas. It has 4 paradigmas in confront. It's an important showdown in a singularity world where I was exhibit. To be a putty of this world, to be hatred, to be attacked. But I did what I promised. I did what I promised. This was one religion of my mind that if you've promised something to others that you must do it. And I was that person in front of you that always had a putty pie of your world, even in wildlife, where I considered a life with autistic people in my surrounding areas. I respect them. Till the place they put bully acting on me with a loose identity, where every girl said, well, if you bullying him, why you acting on your several planes to us? Why? Because we want him. If you are autistic, be careful in this world. I considered growing up with autistic adaptation, not in studying of delusion in my brain. It wasn't possible. Well, if I put that line on math into, I considered that I could be an autistic idiot. Well, the consuming part of that percentage of availability is 0.6 percentage. The chance was low. Chemicals were not my only invention to have a better life. But one exhibit chemical. Don't let me suffocate in this world. Because it has saved my life a lot of times. Corporate heaters of fate unallowed. Well, in that exhibit, I'm gonna close down this message and say, do you see this world? How it is? Or do you see the surface of this world where we put a language in front of the truth? What we call in science, Latin proximus. A configuration of formulas that you can find in numbers, and what combining languages are not ability of defining in science, but were adaptability in communication. There's a 4% changeability to 8% of truth confinements if there are no promises of confining science exhibits who are too determined in promises. Well, now you know that you must look to see what you see, but you must ask if what I see is really true, and there's always a point that I lose in reality in mind. I did it too much times. And now the psychiatry is really a dirty ass on my mind. But I'm held as held. How be you a Nero in a hero place in hidden world where I live? My hidden world is communication downtown. Singularity so down? Well, maybe. I'm now in default status in my life, where I can exhibit showdown. But the hidden world is where I live. So if you are smart and you are a badass, no, a good boy, go to that boot store directory of you. Exhibit in your root directory near to it and search out for all those files, and you know what's really going on. This was Seals Björn Kroksnäcks in losing name identity Sickes to confirm that I was promiscuous in an education of naval seals, where I complied to this education and considered that pain wasn't the worst thing in my life, but bring me in shock 10 times. That was my end of my Naval SEALs appliance education, where I was the biggest in my education accomplishment, even in showdown, where my establishment is not something I'll be proud of, because it knocks people off. Why? Do you believe it? Well, you must see it, and even if you see it, you think, well, if this is possible, then you are really weird to be in your reality. Why? Even the most mental disturbed people in schizophrenia say, I don't believe this. We ask schizophrenia person to admit this story if this is true on free license, and they all say, no, this is not true. When we said to the schizophrenia person, they were not on medication, no, not on Argitol or any other medication, and they were really obnoxious. Why? They even believed that it was true. Well, if they even believed it wasn't true, who is believing it? Well, I learned a lot of science, and I can always confirm that there are always parallel references of communication, science, and language. That is always a truth in parallel orchestra. Well, now we are on the end of this message, and I want to thank you. Recompile constricta, sequence CTTT 1214 KKK, Alexia, diffidancia, potentia, eclectia, dosodanza, amacta, citata, locta, tita, mota, cita, pork, suck, tick, lock. End of transcription, refinement of this media file footage.